After 2 hours of intense lovemaking, Colleen asked Mike to leave. "Honey, it's 7 o'clock. My husband will be home in an hour." Her young lover nodded and hurried to the shower. To him, this woman was just a cheap doormat, not worth the risk. They exchanged a few kisses, passionate on her part and casual on his. Then they dressed and went down the stairs. Only Colleen said goodbye. Mike was already thinking about more important problems. It was dark downstairs because of the lowered curtains. The landlady pressed the button with a familiar gesture, but immediately afterward she shrieked and bounced back. Her husband was there, sitting in his favorite chair, cleaning his gun. Mike immediately turned pale. He could have easily defeated the old cuckold in a fight, but the chance his opponent had was a complete game-changer. "Chris, what are you going to do?" Colleen was concerned. "Just shut up and sit on the couch, both of you," her husband ordered. The wife almost fainted, but her lover sat on the opposite end, trying not to look at her. "I present to you my best friend Charlie, the only one who has never betrayed me," Chris said, pointing to his shotgun. "He's loaded and mean, I assure you. It makes good holes, very big ones. I ask myself what you look like without balls." He turned to his lover. "Please, sir, let's be civilized," the young man muttered. "I assure you it was not a show of disrespect on my part." The armed man smirked. "Yes, dear, I only love you. It was sex for pleasure, like a workout, nothing more," Colleen added. "I bet it was," Chris smirked again. "But you both should know that shooting is also fun, even an Olympic discipline." The two lovers swallowed uneasily. "Don't bother Charlie anymore," Chris ordered. "You know he doesn't like useless conversations." The two of them nodded. "I know all about you, young man, but you better not talk about the inferiority complex that made you screw someone who could have been your mother. You just slept with my wife for the 10th time. I think that's enough for today." "What do you know about that?" an astonished Colleen asked, forgetting that she wasn't allowed to speak. Chris nodded. "I believe in karma," he replied. "Everything you do in life, good or bad, comes back to you tenfold. When I was young, I once gave a man horns, so I deserved that fate. But that's enough now. My penance is over. If I see you with my wife again, I'll have Charlie shut you up. I am old, I have nothing to lose, and you, Mike, have just begun to live. It would be a shame to waste your life." The young man seemed confused. "You can talk now," Chris announced. "You should listen to what he says," advised Colleen, who looked startled. "He's even written reference books on karma." "I'm sorry. I want to be respectful, but I can't believe this karma stuff. Look, I assure you that I will never go near your wife from now on, but I can't believe I'm going to suffer 10 times as much." "Karma is inexorable," Chris swore. "You'll be tricked 100 times over, I promise you." "Well, in that case, I'll never get married," the young man replied sharply, forgetting that the man had a gun behind his back. "That doesn't change anything," the husband clarified. "You will suffer differently. You can go now. You'd better light a candle and thank God you'll leave this house in one piece." Mike ran out to the car and jumped in like a racing driver. "What are you going to do to me?" Colleen muttered. "I want to rebuild my marriage." The woman breathed a sigh of relief. At least she wasn't in danger. "Go to the bedroom and wait for me naked on the bed," the man ordered, and she hurried to do his bidding. He closed the door, then stowed the weapon in a special cabinet. After that, he very calmly walked up the stairs as if nothing had happened. Their sex had been amazing. Colleen was surprised to find that her husband did even better than her lover, despite the age difference. "Did the whole story excite you?" she asked him as they relaxed. "Not at all. I don't agree with these vicious games. But I have taken Viagra," he replied. "Should I be afraid of karma, too?" "Just like everyone else, Colin. Don't be afraid. I'll never cheat on you 100 times. I don't have the strength for that. But karma has many ways to act." Colleen wrinkled her nose. "I would never hurt you. the man reassured her. Maybe you were just a tool of karma, we'll see. What's next? A marital reconciliation? That won't be necessary, Colleen. You see, I'm not asking you why. I already know all your possible answers. They're all in the cheater's book. You've been a devoted wife for years and needed a break. You have empty nest syndrome. You have hormonal issues. Your body is changing. And you wanted to feel like a beautiful woman one last time. I bet you enjoyed some great sex. That's not true, his wife wanted to comfort him. Don't lie to me. I know from experience what sex was like for a woman who cheated on her husband with me. Colleen swallowed. That's my mistake, darling, not yours. I couldn't have dreamed of a better husband. The man I gave horns to years ago took years to reconcile. For months, he refused to have sex with his wife. I won't do that stupid thing. I don't want to punish myself. But you have to realize you're not allowed to make any other mistakes. Colleen was relieved to agree. Just a week later, the couple set off on an exotic trip to Morocco. Their grown children were happy for them. Of course, they knew nothing about Colleen's affair. Rest assured, times were great in Africa, but that period is uninteresting for our story, so we'll skip it. Colleen returned home carefree and joyful, convinced that her marriage was happier than ever. She didn't tell Chris, but she thought the affair had spiced up her marriage. Her mood changed instantly when she saw Mike's picture in the paper. The article stated that the young man had been killed with extreme brutality, shot 100 times. Colleen lost consciousness. She woke up in bed, next to a worried Chris. "Were you involved in Mike's murder?" she asked bluntly. "You should know me better," her husband replied. "After he left, I was your shadow. We were in Morocco that fateful day. You might well have prepared all this long before that. You think I have more power than I really do. You know that my income is limited and easily controlled. Everything I have is in our account. You can verify at any time that I have not withdrawn a large sum of money." That answer reassured his wife. Then it was karma. But her calmness faded when she thought of something else. If her husband wasn't involved, if only karma took action, what fate awaited her, the one who cheated on Chris as often as Mike did? And her guilt was greater because she was his wife. "Don't worry, you'll never be yelled at. You're a decent woman. I'm sure Mike has annoyed someone. Maybe he slept with a mobster's wife," Chris tried to reassure her. Step by step, Colleen became obsessed with pain. She was afraid of getting sick or having a car or airplane accident. She never left the house or walked in the garden, so Chris was forced to do the shopping himself. At least his attitude didn't change. He remained the same devoted and loving husband she knew him to be. A few months later, he informed her that he had been invited to an important scientific congress in Peru. "This is your chance to get out of the house," he smiled at her. "We could take some great trips. I suggest you don't miss this opportunity." Colleen, who lived in constant fear, refused to listen to him, and Chris didn't insist. They agreed that while he was away from home, she would be guarded by her younger sister, who had come especially for the occasion. Chris was unable to stay at the conference until the end. His desperate eldest son informed him of Colleen's death. She became ill. With great difficulty, she agreed to go to the hospital for a checkup. The results were disappointing, and she took her own life. Chris returned as soon as he could, only to attend the funeral of his wife, who had been murdered by karma. After becoming a widower, he resumed paying escorts twice a month. "Karma has no reason to punish me for paying," he thought. "I haven't hurt anyone. On the contrary, I'm helping these poor women pay their bills." Was he involved in the deaths of those who made him a cuckold? Decide for yourself.